Yo, this thing is 2 hours long. Um, I fast forward to the end so you can see this sad state of affairs. This right here, see this? This is the echo chamber or echo cube. These people do not. They're either out to lunch or they're deceiving. I mean, they're making core look good. This guy, they might be able to. With devs, you just got to tell them, okay, put the box over here and over here. I mean, Chris Picard or Picard, this is. You gotta listen to this guy. You ever been to Open Bazaar? Yeah, that's the guy right there. Year after year, the worst customer experience. Take 5 minutes, don't be lazy, and go to that site. That's what devs do. Devs just keep building. They don't know shit. These are the same guys that make fun of Steve Jobs and say Wozniak built it, over and over. It doesn't matter if it goes to zero. They don't care. Like academia, it doesn't matter. Google is a piece of crap because they sourced out their code, even though they're not. You know what I'm saying? And they went from may to shall. Like United States, like let's say California is we may issue a gun permit or whatever. So that basically means no gun permits for all California. Then you have another state that shall, even though the words are real close, but shall is like a driver's license. You shall get a driver's license unless you're a total screw up or something bad. Okay. But what they've done now, and Chris Pesse or Picard, I'll call him Picard, whatever, with the BCH boys, whatever, the new dangerous things they're adding. That's the new roadmap. We're going to start adding stuff. Unless someone can tell us what the bugs are, what the drawbacks are, we're going to start adding it. We know there wasn't a lot of time for these opcodes, but it doesn't matter. Unless someone could come up with it, because no one had time to make sure it wasn't going to have a bunch of flaws and bugs in it. And basically, he let out, this is the new roadmap, And the reason why they feel okay with that is because, unlike the miners, they don't have hundreds of millions of dollars invested. And so that's why they're able to keep innovating. What they don't understand is that's why the design of Bitcoin, not their crap, is made so the people with the most risk have the choice, because, they're like, well, they're just play it safe all the time. Just have the same old Bitcoin, which works perfect. That's the main thing they don't want. They don't want to go back to 1.0, because at that point, it will be a proven fact that would have been better if they all just stayed home. Core, and then core number 2, which is ABC, they could have just stayed at home and it would have been better. They've brought nothing. If, SVs, Bitcoin One that we enjoyed so much for the first 8 years, and we still are enjoying Bitcoin Cash. It's still 100% SegWit free. So SegWit, obviously, that's how we get the full 10 years. But these guys, devs are going to dev. Engineers are going to engineer. And they all love this OpenBazaar guy. Go to this site. It's the worst. If they're going to keep moving, I would do yourself a favor. Stay on the sidelines, because there ain't going to be no value. There's not going to, right? When there's instability and change, nobody will ever invest in that. Can you imagine if the Android store or the iTunes store, the platform was always changing, where by the time you finished your app that you're building on there, it's already changed again? That's just a baby cosm. There's not very, there's some money put in the ass, but we're talking about huge amounts of money are going to go elsewhere. They're smart. They sit on the sidelines. The only one dumb enough is VC money. Those guys are monkeys. Those guys are crazy, funny but crazy. But the PCH community is so nice that they don't call us out. They won't even have the balls to call BTC the SegWit attack or SegWit coin, because that's what it was. That's why we got thousands of coins and people lost billions of dollars in these ICOs because you wanted to be a nice guy. That's fine, but just call the truth. Just say the truth, and then you go home and you sleep good. Do you know what I'm saying? And then if a person hears it, takes it in, and still does it, that's not on you. When you hear this, here, let's just hear this.
Do it like we don't have the engineering bandwidth to do it at the time, but we'd be thrilled to get a patch for it. But
they don't have the time, they don't have the money. Okay,
when is BitPay going to task one of their developers to implement their?
They don't even want the job. They are fucking
proprietary.
Here, I'll try to fast forward.
For ABC. I
have to deal with the questions.
We probably would, but we just have bigger fish to fry.
It might be something I might work on in the BCHD. I think I have a little bit different strategy for that one than
it's disgusting.
Let's say ABC. That is something I think would be on my priority to put it in there.
I'm gonna try fast forward.
Chris.
At the end, comments? It's 2 hours long.
No, but I'd like to reiterate: if we get a patch that is of good quality, we're gonna merge it.
Why did ABC argue against using Nakamoto consensus as the governance model for BCH in the upcoming fork at the Bangkok meeting?
Because it doesn't work. Nakamoto consensus would work for a soft fork, but not for a hard fork. You can't use a hash war to resolve this issue. If you have different hard forking rule sets, you're going to have a persistent chain split no matter what the hash rate distribution is. So, I don't know, whether or not we are willing to use Nakamoto consensus to resolve issues is not the issue right here. What the issue is?
It's not an issue. Let's hear them out.
Technically impossible.
Yeah, I would like to address
the guy's full
that in a bit of a different way. So first, yes, if you have an incompatible change set, you get a permanent chain split no matter what, right? No matter. Also, I think Nakamoto consensus is probably quite misunderstood. People would do well to actually reread the.
We don't need to know. Me knowing doesn't help anything. Nothing. It changes nothing. You tell us how you read it and translate it so we can have an idea if it's going to be a shall include bullshit into the code all the time or may when needed.
Read the white paper on that front. And so what the Nakamoto consensus describe generally is going to be miners starting to enforce different rule set, and everybody's going to reorg into the longest chain, right? And this is how you can decide amongst change sets that are compatible with each other, because if they are not compatible with each other, nobody's going to rework into any chain, and what you get is two chain, and Nakamoto consensus cannot resolve that. Also, another idea that people have a lot with Nakamoto consensus is that miner vote, and this is how we decide what goes in the chain, but this is not what is described in the white paper. What is described as voting in the white paper is miner vote for a chain by choosing to extend it, right? So any block they find on the chain and extend the chain count as a vote as described in the white paper. And
that's how it's most commonly used. Yes, that's correct.
This is actually a vote and a good decision mechanism, because this is costly and binding for the miner to do so, because the block that the miner is going to found that way is not going to be valid under another rule set, right?
The miner gets paid in Bitcoin, but not if they're changing the code. It will never have any value. I mean, the miner loses value by shifting freaking sand, as Jimmy Wynn pointed out. Thank goodness. The normal brain, it's just a chunk of gold. You know what I'm saying? I know that sounds stupid. It's not totally correct, but for the average user, you gotta make it simple. Or You'll end up like this with a fancy nothing.
Right. So effectively, the miner is committing to that chain. However, this is not the case when voting ahead of time, which is not what is described by Nakamoto consensus. The vote ahead of time is non-binding, and then you get the problem that Jonathan described earlier, is that you can have a big actor that move a ton of hash rate on BCH for some period of time for the duration of the vote, and then leave again and let everybody deal with the consequences of that vote. So
actually, you can do that. Everything they're saying is factually wrong, but
we are in a position where we cannot really do the hash rate vote stuff, and also we are in the position where a lot of people are confused between this whole hash rate vote and what Nakamoto consensus is actually described in the white paper.
Explain it.
Yeah, I think people would do good to like reread those two parts of the white paper because they're actually quite insightful and widely misunderstood.
Yeah, Nakamoto consensus in the white paper is about determining which of several valid histories of transaction ordering is the true canonical ordering, and which transactions are approved and confirmed and which ones are not. It is not for determining which rule set determines the validity. You cannot use Nakamoto consensus, for example, to decide whether the 21 million...
Wrong. He's so wrong. Wrong. Right now, you could look at Unlimited has a slice of the pie. ABC has a slice of the pie. SV will have a big slice of the pie. If tomorrow Unlimited had 99% of the running their software, their protocol, they can't do anything. How do they get 45% or whatever they have right now? I'll tell you the truth. They're not going to tell you. It's the miners. The miners run that software, so they do choose. They would be at home playing Atari right now if no miner ran their software. So if SV runs software the miner wants, they could literally choose that. What he's saying is maybe once removed, but it's lying. They don't choose. You know, up till now, they've done a good job choosing, so they were backed. But they're forgetting the whole point. Devs, we just want to make sure devs have no decision over the miner's choice. No sway at all. We don't want any of their great ideas, any of their, they need to be instructed like robots. Go over there and pick up that toy and come over here, because we want it to work out right. And that's why the say-so goes to the people who have a lot to risk. That's the economics that keep it safe, yet progressing at a increasing rate. Let's keep going. This guy's the worst. Watch Jimmy Wynn. That guy kicks butt. This guy is saying that in the white paper, in the small print, it says ABC. It doesn't say that. They're lying.
Bitcoin limit is good or bad. You can't just say, okay, but I have 10 times as much hash rate that says you should be paying miners 10 times more, because it's not up to the miners to make that decision.
Wrong. Who's it up to then? They won't answer it. So someone has a protocol that miners like, they could change it to anything they want. He is factually wrong and misleading. And okay, that's fine. He's a horrible person as far as logic. But see if they reject it.
The only decision that Nakamoto consensus is allowed to make on is which of the various types of blocks or block contents.
Sorry, you're saying it right? Take a picture of all these people. Are any of them? That's not right. They're all retarded. They're all mentally ill.
That would be valid according to the rule set is the true history. So yeah, I think there's just a misunderstanding there about what Nakamoto consensus is.
We are only interested in that you don't have a choice. Call it whatever you want.
All right. Thank you for that, Jonathan. And I think this is probably a good point to wrap things up for today. We're at the top.
Okay. It's on yours. It's Nakamoto. It's by Decentralized Thought on yours. Read it. Watch this thing for 2 hours. I'm telling you right now. Jimmy Wynn, InChain, Craig Wright, Calvin, CoinKey, kick ass. The problem is they know exactly what's happening. If it goes back to Bitcoin, the original one, that would have been on for 10 years. That means these people are the worst thing that ever happened to society. They derailed with a SegWit coin attack by letting in SegWit and lying with the New York agreement. Anyways, I won't go down there. But this ain't going to happen again, because what you're not seeing is what Bitcoin would have been without those 1,000 coins, because you couldn't have competed against SegWit-free Bitcoin, the world's largest network, always under a penny or 2 pennies, instant transact with anyone around the world, $1 million. There's no. Let me just tell you, there's no competing that economically. What's your idea to compete against that? Hit me up. What's your better coin that's going to compete against something that works every time? It's going back. Anyways, they could see the writing on the wall. Once it goes to SV, and this shows they bring nothing to the table. They're worthless. On second layer, they're great, but they keep trying to go on the first layer, because you can build everything on the second layer. Which no, you can't. People are doing it right now, building it. And then they were pretending like alluding to Jihan, which has an impeccable record. He's a man of his word. He's alluding to him because Bitmain funds a lot of projects, gives money out, and then one of their minions, was alluding to like Jihan was going to back them. Nope, not true. Everybody's falling for it. You could call it Jihan right now. Now these guys technically, if you ask them, no comment, because they started the whole rumor going. But you could go right to the man. We just had a real fork, right? And he was a man of, he stayed on the side. He's a chip maker. He does, and he's public. And as far as the burning and the wormhole, that was actually a brilliant idea. Burning actually adds value, just so you know. But they figured out how to do it on chain, which makes that obsolete. I mean, that sucks, man. I like Bitbox. I really, but even Gabriel was just saying it how it is, and he put in a lot of work. Let me tell you, that's a good, that's a good dev. Boom, but these guys trying to mess with the protocol. And this Chris guy, oh my gosh, I get off this thing. Anyways, my opinion is ever changing. I think twice, maybe sit on the sideline, during this whole thing. I mean, if you're like holding Bitcoin Cash, there's nobody going to invest. I mean, VC money is retarded. They're crazy, but and they're all broke anyway. No one's going to invest in this. Would you? Ever changing? Anyways, until next time.